Okay, I know by now a lot of people have seen the court drama with Cardi B. I just caught glimpses of some of it, but the one thing that I will say, that I'll say this, okay, I'm not gonna say the one thing because there's gonna be more than one thing that I'm gonna say, but what I want to say is, that let's start with the positive, okay? So from what I was hearing on the news yesterday, I saw like the news press and they covered Cardi B in the courtroom, um, clips. I think what got my attention, I already knew she was going into the courtroom over the issue with the what had happened in, I believe, the fight with the security guard. And then I saw the security guard when she took the stand and a little bit of what she said. And then I saw when there was an article that came out about Cardi and that she was switching her wigs. And then there was another issue with one of the reporters or some lawyer that was disrespectful to her and had asked her some really rude questions. And so it was good that she spoke up for herself and she spoke back, to the people who were being disrespectful. And I think, yeah, people need to consider, people's feelings and, what they're going through, and they don't know their personal lives. But I will say this, now that might be the positive. The other positive is I believe she's come a long way, in her career. Um, and by her being a mother and, influential in the music world, those are good things. But now here's the part that I know some people might not not agree, and then others may agree. And I want to say it in a way where sometimes you can't say anything without offending people, and they take things personal as if they're the actual person being spoken of, and then they take it so personal they're not really seeing what the person is saying. So everybody's entitled to their opinions of what they're saying. And so, like I said about another celebrity, they were wearing their hair and they were using cultural appropriation. And then they wanted to mention Vikings and that braids started in Europe, and they just took it way out of pocket. And so I shut those comments off, because when people come with a lot of ignorance and rudeness, I shut the comments off. So think about what you're going to say before you start coming in my comment section, because if I think it's immature, or if it's rude, or if it's just coming from a racial perspective where it's straight up racist, or you're trying to assume that somebody's canceling somebody, which they're not, then I'm going to shut you off, because nobody's canceling anybody. These are just honest opinions. So, like, I said about Cardi, she came a long way, but you got to remember that a lot of these celebrities, their lives are not perfect. And I will say this, the one thing that Cardi said, she said that, oh, you guys don't understand what celebrities are going through. I believe it was, I'm paraphrasing, that you want to come for the celebrities and their money and this, that, and the other. So she should be really speaking only for herself, because these circumstances that she went in the courtroom for, a lot of them have to do with when she was in that relationship with Offset. So that relationship was pretty rocky. And it looked like from the beginning he was doing a lot of, dipping out of the relationship. It was in and out, back and forth with them, as far as that I know. From the way things looked, it looked like she was really trying to keep the thing together, and it just didn't work out. And I'm not gonna completely fault her. I did hear that they said she was going and going behind his back, but I feel on the inside of my gut that I don't think that's what she was doing in the beginning. I really believe that she was trying to stay faithful in the relationship. So I will say that that's my opinion. I'm entitled to it, but what I will say that for Cardi, a lot of people, that regular people, don't have the same status as she does, and others that are like her. So there is a celebrity thing where when celebrities go to court, those trials are treated a different way than somebody that's just a regular person or a civilian that's on the street or in the world. So I don't think that the average black woman or woman can just go in court and switch wigs on and off and use charismatic phrases and laugh and make the judge laugh or make the jurors laugh or the courtroom laugh and have that kind of atmosphere go on. I believe that some celebrities, or if not most celebrities, will get more high profile trials. It's like a big deal and they're treated differently. And it depends on the situation. And so, you can be treated differently in a way where even if you are in the wrong, that trial is really high profile and you have maybe a greater chance of escaping your situation. You might be able to have the money to have better lawyers and better representation than a person who doesn't have a lot of money and they don't have a lot of fame and status. And then the other thing I wanted to say in terms of Cardi is that she has to realize that there was a time that she didn't have all that money, and the people, the fans, I believe not just the talent alone made her who she is. And so by her being the person that she is and well known in the music world and industry, she has to realize that celebrities do get treated a different way, and they get treated a different way than a person that is just on the street and a person that's just in the regular world. And so, I mean, she has really beautiful pictures of herself. She looks like she's come a long way. She has a specific goal to be successful, and I believe she's achieved a lot of that. And I think those are good things. Those are all good qualities. She has a lot of charisma, a lot of it factor. But what I will say too, the negatives is that this relationship between her and Offset was really highly publicized. There was a lot going on between the both of them during the course of their relationship that led to this whole incident. I believe a lot of that kind of led up to it. But then, too, I think that security guard, if I'm remembering, I believe there was something that she had a little debate with Nicki Minaj. I believe there was something going on, and fans tend to some fans will have so much, I guess, obsession for these artists or these entertainers that there's what is like a cult following, and they don't really realize these are regular people. At the end of the day, they're not perfect, and they're not gods. And the money that you give, buying albums or supporting them, it's making them wealthy, and you're not getting anything from it, unless you're able to remember the moments that you maybe went to a concert or took a photo with a person, but the people don't really know you on a first name basis. They don't even know who you are. They do know that they have a cult following, or they have fan base, or they have people that want to buy their merchandise. and they've built them up. And so that's the thing I want to say in terms of Cardi, that she wouldn't be where she is and most of the other celebrities. And they have to understand that the fans and the people who look up to you are the ones that made you also who you are. And if people didn't like your music or they didn't like you, then you wouldn't get as far as you have. And so I believe, if I recall, she started out, not really having a lot of money. She was involved in stripping. She was also involved or connected with a gang. She was living in New York. Her family didn't have a whole lot. And so sometimes people, when they get out of those situations that are really tough, they forget what that life was like. That's hard. And there are people that are never going to ever probably get to the point where she has risen to. And that might be why a lot of people follow people like this, because they, in the back of their mind, they dream of a time that maybe they could get out of their situation, and maybe there's a chance that maybe they'll be the next person that'll be an entertainer, or they'll be successful in however other way. And so I would say this, the one thing that Cardi was making the point, oh, you can't come for me, they're coming for my money. And so Cardi probably should think about all of the things that are going on in the world today. I've seen that a little bit. She was trying to get involved with politics back when Bernie Sanders was vocal about a lot of the things that were going on in the government. And she had mentioned statements regarding taxes and things like that. But I will say this, for her, everybody doesn't get to the place where she's at. And, look at some of the things that she's experienced in her life. She mentioned being in the strip club. She mentioned, some of the people that she had to encounter. And she doesn't have to dance anymore. There are women that want to be where she's at. They might have to work in places like that, or they might be working other jobs and just really only able to make ends meet week in and week out, or maybe month to month, and they may never ever have any shot at being super wealthy or even remotely somewhat wealthy. And so I think sometimes when people come from real difficult situations, they tend to forget where they came from and how far they've gotten. And that, there was a time that they didn't have all of the makeup, all of the wigs to switch in and out of, and all of the pretty clothes and the recognition and the notoriety that they do when they become popular in the media and famous. And this is not just to take a dig at Cardi. There are other people like her that, and I'll say this, and I'm not trying to be rude and say that Cardi's the one that did this, but there's some celebrities such as her that they kind of slept their way to the top. They laid in videos, they were in nude videos, and they just became celebrities overnight because they used their body to market themselves, and they became a hot commodity. And then all of a sudden they get a reality show with their family, and now they're big time, and they're living, high affluent areas, and they have all the commercials, and they have all the clothes and all the money, and they seem to be doing well, and they've created a brand for themselves. And I believe that's probably what Cardi's going to end up doing. As she gets older, she will become a brand. I feel like that's what a lot of rap artists who are real popularized and who have made it, they become a brand, and they begin to have like something later down the road, like as they age, that they can fall back on, and they can make money without having to actually go out and do a video or go and do a show. They have like their name, and their name brings them revenue. And so I believe that's probably what will happen maybe with her, if it hasn't already. It's really already started now, you know. So I think I saw some of the clips of what happened in the court proceedings. So I think it has come to a close now, I believe. But with that being said, I'm gonna let this go. But I guess good luck to her. I know the question was raised that she might be expecting a new baby from her new relationship. So I guess that remains to be seen.